Hi there everyone, my name is Stanczak, and in this video in particular, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create an animated subscribe button using the tool PowerPoint. Now further ado, let's get started. Alright, so to start, I'm going to break it down piece by piece with you guys about all the different components that are in this actual animation, and then show you how to create each sequence one after the other. So on slide 1, you'll see we have the entire animation. Now we have a lime green background, so if you go to right click format background, you'll see that it is just a simple lime green color. And you can find this by just clicking on this color here when you go to more colors. Alright, so once you have your background set, then we have this entire animation. So I'm going to show you guys what this actually looks like when I put it in presentation mode. So a leave a like appears, my profile, subscribed with the bell, goes back in and then says thank you. So on slide 2, you'll see here how there's a bunch of different pieces with the subscribe animated button. So we have the first sequence, which is leave a like with a thumbs up icon and a light gray box. Then we have a red subscribe button with my profile pic. And then we have a similar box as to leave a like with the subscribe text and a bell notification. And then lastly, we have 2 thank you buttons. One of them is going to replace the subscribed button that's right here, and then the other one is actually going to leave the screen and exit the entire animation for you. So without further ado, let's get to slide 3, which is the first sequence. So on slide 3, we have here a thumbs up icon, the text leave a like, and I'm using the font Lato size 18, and then we just have a simple shape. Now this shape that you see here, I got this shape by just going to insert shapes, and then I did this rounded rectangle shape. Alright, and then if you want to have similar color like this, I went to, if you click on this shape, right click, format shape, this side pane is going to open up and you can go to gradient fill. And I used for this one, I used this light white, and then I used a little bit of a darker white just to give a little bit of dimension to it. And then also what I did was I added a shadow effect to it. So if I go here to shadow, I then clicked on this default option, but I also changed it to have a little bit of a different angle, so it's a little bit of a customization here. So if you want to have the same angle as I did for this shadow effect, feel free. You can increase the transparency or decrease it, however you may like. And also when you are creating shapes, make sure to get rid of the line if you don't want it in there. Alright, so now that you have that box, you can then grab in an icon, a thumbs up icon, or whatever icon you may like. But for this situation, I use a thumbs up icon, and you can just find this on thenounproject.com. They have a bunch of free royalty icons that you can use, so feel free to search there, or just through Google, you can find a thumbs up icon as well. And then for the last step, what I did is I grouped all these objects together as one. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to eventually animate this entire thing to come in as one object. So to do that, you can highlight all of them and then right click group, and you would click group right here. They're already grouped right now for you, and then you could always ungroup if you don't want them grouped. And then if I click on this object now, go to animations, click on animation pane, you'll see that I have 2 different animations here. The first animation is flying in, and then the second animation is a wipe down, because what's going to happen is I want this animation to come in from the bottom, but then to go to this next sequence here, I need it to wipe down and disappear. So to add these 2, all you have to do is add animation, and then you can click on fly in to add it. And then to add the second one to the same object, you need to go back to add animation, and then you can click on wipe down. And then you'll see that it wiped up. You'll actually want to change the effect options to be from top, so it comes down like so. Alright, so I'll get rid of these 2 since we already have them, and I will show you guys exactly what I did for these 2. So I have a duration of 1.5 seconds for the first animation, which is flying in. And then for the wipe, I have 0.5 seconds for duration and a delay of 1.5 seconds. And also make sure for this wipe animation that you have it from top. And then for this fly-in animation, another thing I did is if you go into effect options, I added a bounce effect of 1.31 seconds. And basically what that does is when the animation is coming in, instead of just coming in and stopping, it's going to do a little bit of a bounce and then pause. So I recommend doing that if you want to give a little extra flair to your animation. Alright, so once you have that step, we can then go into presentation mode and you'll see it just pops up and then disappears. Alright, so then moving on to the next sequence. Basically what we have here is we have a red box, subscribe text, and my profile pic. And all this is just overlaid on top of the previous sequence that we had in the first slide. Now to get this red box, you can simply click on this gray box, make a copy of it, and then change it to this color. That's always an option. And then to get the subscribe text, you can also just copy the previous text from the other sequence on slide 3 and then bring it in and change it to a white font. And then for this profile pic, what this was, it's just a transparent image of myself with no background behind it. And then what I also did is I actually made the background a gradient orange. So if you go to format picture, and you go here to gradient fill, you'll see I added all these different orange colors to it. Now, depending on what the colors are that you want, you can add in more tickers by just clicking wherever you want that color to be. And then let's say you want a very particular color, you can go here to the paint bucket as long as you have it highlighted. And then you can go to more colors and you can pick whatever color you would like. So that's how I got the background of my profile image. And then what I also did was I added a solid line of white with 1.25 point. And then I added a little bit of a shadow as well to this object. I really like playing around with shadows because it gives any kind of flat shape a little bit more dimension in PowerPoint. Alright, so now that I have those 3 objects, I'm actually gonna not group them this time. And when I go to animations, you'll see here that for this red text, I have an animation of it wiping in. And this is happening right when the first animation is wiping out. And you're gonna wanna make sure that when this animation is wiping in, that it's coming in from top because the other animation before this slide was coming in as top as well. And I set that for a 0.5 seconds duration and a delay of 1.5 seconds. Alright, so I now have that happening with the previous box that's disappearing. And then later on, I'm going to actually have this red box disappear. So I added a second animation that's just disappear, and this automatically deletes it completely. It just has the whole thing disappear. It doesn't wipe out or anything. And that's going to be an auto duration and then a delay of 1.5 seconds. Next, I have the subscribe text. So this text is going to actually have 2 animations with it. It's first going to be wiping text. So it's going to actually come in from the right. As this text comes in, it's going to be slowly appearing like so from right to left. The reason why I did that is because the subscribe text is going to come in from right to left, but then my profile pic, it's going to pop open on the center and then move to the right. So as my profile pic is moving to the right, I want my subscribe text to appear as well. So it looks like they're almost coming together. And then for my profile pic, what I have for that is I have it appearing and then I have a grow shrink added to it. And make sure when you are adding multiple animations to a certain object that you're always choosing this feature here and not clicking on this drop down arrow and selecting the animation. Because if you go with that option, it's going to end up only doing that one animation and getting rid of all the other animations you had in your slide deck. So be mindful of that. As a good rule of thumb, I recommend just always going to add animation and then adding your animation there. That way you don't have to worry about previous animations getting deleted. So now we have appear, we have a grow shrink, and we also have it moving with a line. And this line's going to be going to the right. So it's starting in the center and then it's moving to the right. For this appear animation, it's auto. It's got a delay of 1.75 seconds. For this grow shrink, basically what happens here is if you see in presentation mode, leave a like it pops up a little bit because it's growing a little bit, all right? And then to make sure you only have it grow the amount you would like, you can go into effect options. And for the sizing, if you click on this drop down arrow, you can then do a custom percentage of how big you're actually gonna make that object grow. So I just did 115% for this object in particular. All right, and I have no smooth end, no smooth start, or a bounce end. It's just growing to 115 seconds. So you can just hit OK. And then after it does a grow shrink, I actually did do an after previous for this one, and I have a duration of 0.75 seconds. So what you can do is when you click on a line, so I'll show you here, let's say you just want to add a line animation to this. It's going to automatically move in that direction. But if you want to move to the right, you can do effect options, right. And then now it's going to move to the right. Now, if I don't want it to move that far, I can always click on this shape and then click on this red arrow and hold down shift and decide where I want it to end. So that's how I decided how far this shape right down here is going to go. I basically just had it stop right here. And now when I play it, it's just going to start here and then move to here as the end result. So now I have my subscribe text wiping in from the right to the left. I have this popping in, moving to the right, and then I have this red text wiping in from the top to the bottom. All right, so now what this looks like is I have leave a like, comes in, moves to the right when the subscribe text is appearing to the left. All right, moving on to the third sequence. So now we have the subscribe text and a light gray box, and then also a bell notification. So the reason why I created this part of the animation is because when people usually click on subscribe, the subscribe text will appear. And then also it's good to promote people to turn on the bell notifications, so to click on those. So that's also why I added in the bell. So to make this part of it, I just layered this on top of the other two sequences. And you can again just copy this box and then make it the color you want. The good thing is that this box color is the same as the subscribe box. So I just kind of copied the color of that with the shadow and everything. All right, so now I have that box on top. Subscribe text, you can just copy the previous text, put it on top, and to make sure it's centered, you can click on this text, go to arrange, align, and then center, and that will make sure that the text is actually centered. Then what we have here is a bell icon. So I also got that bell icon from the nounproject.com. You can also Google different PNG icons that you may like if you don't like this one. So just make sure it's either a PNG file or an SVG file. I really like SVG files because they don't lose their quality when you scale them, so I recommend doing SVG if you can. So now I have these three pieces here. I'm not going to group them because I want to do separate animations for all of them. So the first part is I'm going to have this box and it's going to do an appear effect. So right when someone clicks on subscribe, it's going to change the complete color of it to this light gray. And then the subscribe text is going to first appear, and it's also going to actually do a little bit of a jiggle effect, and that's where I have this custom path here. So to actually do that, what I did was, let's say I have this text here. You can go here to add animation, go to custom path, and this basically what it does is, if you see here, it has this kind of perpendicular lines. What you can do is you can actually make a completely custom motion path of what you want that object to do and where you want it to move. So for this scenario, I'm just going to click in the center because I want it to start in the center of the text. I want it to move a little to the right, and then I want it to move a little to the left, and then I'm going to bring it back to the center. All right, so while I was doing that, I was actually holding down shift to make sure it was a straight line, and I made sure to click right here, and then I brought it back over here, and I clicked again, and then I had a final click here. Now, another thing I did for this subscribe text is I actually added in a bounce effect to this one as well. All right, so you'll see here I have a bounce effect of 0.78 seconds, and then also a smooth start because I want it to smoothly and slowly come in and then do a little bounce effect. It's just really just extra stuff. You don't need to do that, but I wanted to do that just for a cool effect. So basically for the subscribe text, I have appearing, I have the custom path, and then I also have it later on disappearing completely, because once the next animation comes in, I want it to disappear. We have this box, we have the text, now we have this bell icon. So the first animation for this bell icon, and it's very similar to what I did with the subscribe text. I have it appearing, then I have a line and it's just going to the right. So it started here and then moved to the right because I wanted to come out of the subscribe text. So this is actually sent to back. So if I move this over to the left, you will see it is actually behind. I had it start here and then move out to the right so it comes out of the subscribe box. And it's also going to do a wobble effect as well. And it's also going to do a bounce effect as well. So if you see here, if I go into effect options, as a bounce of 0.8 seconds and then a smooth start of 0.5 seconds. And then what I also did was I did an auto reverse. So I checked this box right here. What that will do is it will start here, come out, do a little bit of a bounce. And then once it's finished with the animation, it's actually going to reverse the animation and go back. So it's going to do a bounce again and then go back underneath the box that I created, which is right here, this light gray box. So that way it comes in, comes out, and it doesn't stay there. So now if we see it, we have leave a like. This pops up, subscribe, bell comes up, and then comes back in. And you'll see you saw the bell still for a little bit, and that's because we still have one more sequence to it. So for the last sequence, we have actually 2 thank you boxes. This first one is grouped and it's sitting on top, and then the second one is underneath. And there's a lot more happening with this one. So this bottom animation actually happens first. And what happens is I have this box, which I just copy and pasted, and then I went into format shape and I added in the gradient that I wanted to add in for this one. And what I have for this one is I have it appearing and then I also have it disappearing later on. And this one's going to replace the one that's disappearing. So it's appearing right at a delay of 3.25 seconds and the duration is auto. And then it is disappearing at a delay of 4.5 seconds. All right. And then for the thank you text, we have actually 3 animations. So we have a fade and then we also have a line animation. And then we also have a disappearing animation. So for the line animation, it's a duration of 1.25 seconds and a delay of 3 seconds. And I have it fading in at a delay of 3.25 seconds. So the reason why I have the fade come in after the line animation, even though it's on top, is because I want the object to be already moving before it appears on the scene. So that is why I have the fade happening a little after the line starts. And then I have this duration for the fade as 0.5 seconds and a delay of 3.25 seconds. You'll notice that when this animation is happening, the thank you text actually does a little bit of a bounce. And that's because when the bell icon is coming in and going behind the box, I want the thank you to almost be impacted by the motion of that bell icon and do a little bit of a wobble as well. So in effect options, what I did was I added a bounce end of 1.01 seconds and then a smooth start of 0.63 seconds. Now, they don't have to be exactly like this. You can really change it however you would like. Just know the more bounce you add to it, the more crazy it's going to get. You also notice that I have this thank you text going from the left to the right. All right. So it's a right animation. And the reason why that is because when that animation's coming in, I want the thank you text to be coming in this way and do a little bounce. And it doesn't do the bounce until the fade appears. So it's a little confusing, but just make sure to follow this sequence here and you should be good in terms of delays and everything. So basically make sure to have a duration of 0.5, delay of 3.25, have this one start for 3 seconds and a duration of 1.25 seconds. And then later on, it's going to disappear with a delay of 4.5 seconds. All right. So now I have this box and I have the thank you. And then what we have is this last thank you. So basically, if you can see here, leave a like, this pops open, subscribe, comes back in, shakes the thank you. And then what I do is I actually have this entire thank you box disappear while this one's appeared. And that way it looks like it never disappeared to begin with. And then to end the animation, I just have that last thank you falling down. Now you can have that work with all these separate animations if you would like. You can make all these animations just fall down to end the scene of the entire animation. But to make it easy, I like to just group things and have less animations as possible because as you can see here, there's already a lot of animations animations to this. So that's why I made a second version and I grouped it and I just put it right on top. And I made sure for this one to have it appear right when that previous box is disappearing. And then I also did a fly out effect so that once all the animation's done with and appeared on the screen, I then want to have it leave the screen casually and just fly out. And then I have it going from top to bottom, so that's why I have this option selected here. Alright, so that is everything for this animation. If I play it now, you'll see it says leave a like. Profile pops in, subscribe, bell notification comes in, thank you, and leaves the scene. So that is how you create a subscribe animated button using PowerPoint for any YouTube video you may have. So then once you're done with creating the entire subscribe button animation, you're gonna wanna make sure that you only have the slide of the actual animation that you want. Go to File, Export, Create Video, and then you can choose what type of file size you want. If you want in 4K, they do have that option. And then you're gonna also wanna make sure that you set this time to 10 seconds. Now, I'm pretty sure the animation is only 8 seconds, but just to make sure nothing gets clipped off, I always set it a little extra than what the actual animation is. And then once you're all set with the settings that you want, you can just do create video and it's gonna ask you where you want the video located, and then it'll export the video and you can put in any of your video editors, get rid of the green screen, and you should be set to go. Thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. I want to give you guys 90% off my PowerPoint Udemy course. It's a really great course to understand all the best tools and features that PowerPoint has to offer. So I really recommend you guys checking it out. Obviously, there's no pressure to buy it, but if you are interested, I have that coupon code available for you guys, and you can check the description for more details on that as well. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. I'm a very new YouTuber, and I appreciate any of the support and feedback you guys may have for me. So without further ado, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.